Hopeville burned, lightless in the night, invisible fires of radiation scorching it from within and without. It is said, a man...
Hello there, Sir from 17 once again, introducing you to my Fallout New Vegas Lonesome Road video walkthrough. And this is I think it's the 4th DLC released for Fallout New Vegas. And it's significantly better than the last one, in my opinion. A lot of people probably disagree. It's a hell of a lot more linear. It's got a little bit more story to it, a little bit more scope as far as, what you're doing, as opposed to just a bunch of glorified fetch quests, because I really hated Old World Blues. I thought it had a fantastic story, it had a fantastic concept, and then all you were fucking doing is going in and picking shit up and taking it back to those floating eyeballs, and it really pissed me off. But this one is a little bit different, and it pretty much follows the story of Eddie, or EDE, or however you want to pronounce that little robot dude that's one of those floating bots off of Fallout 3 that used to tell you what, Malcolm McDowell were doing for the Enclave and that. President something, I can't remember. But if you go up to this pod in this room, this will effectively unlock Eddie, and he is going to be helping you throughout the DLC. And he's an interesting tool because not only will he fight alongside with you, he'll also give you perks. He'll also open up certain mechanical appliances so you can use shops and repair things and stuff. And the first thing I'm going to say is I say whatever I can to skip the conversations in this guide. And the only reason I'm doing this is because I've played this twice before. When I first played through, I really enjoyed the conversations with Eddie. And the best thing to do, in my opinion, is to say whatever you can to make him happy. Because there's just something about this robot that put me in a good mood. And if I'm playing a game and you can put me in a good mood, you have achieved something that not many games do, because I will get fucking angry at anything. As some people probably know from my commentaries, I can just exude venom at times. I can just be a fucking rageful person. But this robot cheered me up, and I did enjoy this DLC. And what he also is as well, I was speaking of how he fights with you, he opens up abilities. He's also a narrative tool, because he's going to be conveying a lot of the story and a lot of the backstory to what this place is, because in short, we're tracking down the very first courier, the guy that was supposed to be taking the package that we took and ended up getting killed nearly for at the start of New Vegas. So we're finally going to meet that guy who forfeit the duties that we later took on and got fucked for. So there's a lot of storylines and plot threads that are being woven together here, because the name Uylsees, who is the courier's name, or the courier's moniker, his pseudonym, he's been mentioned a ton of times in previous DLCs, and we've kind of always wondered who he was, and we're finally going to figure all that stuff out. And for me, from the canon of Fallout, I thought it was cool, I thought it was interesting, I liked the character, I thought it had an interesting arc. But a friend of mine who is equally as obsessed when it comes to New Vegas and Fallouts in general, he kinda didn't dig it as much as I did, so it's probably going to be one of those really subjective things where you make your own interpretation and you decide whether or not you think they did it justice, because one resounding theme that goes through all of the DLCs for Fallouts is they're generally a little shitty. Because Bethesda, they seem to create these fantastic worlds. I know this one is developed by Obsidian, but you know what I mean. I mean both of the companies here. They're owned by Bethesda, the parent company. But they make a fantastic world, they make fantastic story, and then the DLC comes along, and it has so much to work with, so much so that they almost get, it seems to be too much. They get overfaced by the potential, and they never make something as polished or as brilliant as we would have liked. And for me, personally, the closest they've come to perfection in DLC was Point Lookout, because I love getting old, Winchester rifles, fucking lever action rifles, and taking down some hillbillies in some random, Louisiana swamp. That to me was, I got to be Burt Reynolds. I got to go and stop that dude getting raped. There were no dueling banjos. I had a really good gun and I was murdering some mutants, and I thought that was cool. A lot of the other stuff, not quite as interesting, but with the group of friends that I have, we all have a different opinion on the DLCs, and we all have a different perspective on which one was the finest, which one we liked more, and it's one of those things where everyone has their own opinion. And if you're wondering why I'm fucking this lockpick up a lot, aside from the fact it's 100, so it's kind of tough, I was using my old pad, and my old pad strays. And what I mean by strays is the analogs make my character move without me pressing them. So when you're trying to lockpick, and you find where you think it might be, and you go to use the other analog, to start tweaking it, it moves by itself, and it fucks you up. And sometimes it'll just start doing it without you moving the pads, and you'll break a lockpick without even knowing it's happened. So that's kind of a funny theme you're going to see through this. I actually disconnected it halfway through because it was pissing me off that much, but I've edited out the disconnect pad section. But a quick note for what this guide is going to be. This guide's not going to tell you how to get all the upgrades for Eddie. It's not going to show you where all the warheads are. It's not even going to be on its hardest difficulty, because I personally believe that Fallout games, when you do bump the difficulty up to the hardest it goes, very hard, or that slider bar, whatever it is, I don't think the game changes at all. It just makes it so that your stats seem to be worse and the enemies seem to be stronger, and it just seems to be pretty much the same game. And I don't know, even if you put it down to very, very easy, you're still going to come across people that will shit on your face, and you just can't seem to kill, stun, or do anything about. It just seems to be how the game's built, so I've never really done any of my Fallout stuff on harder difficulties, and the main motivation for this is A, because I don't enjoy it, and if I don't enjoy it there's no real point, and B, there's never an achievement for doing it, so this is just on normal settings. It's not on anything, exclusively difficult. It's not on hardcore. I played my first playthrough on hardcore, and I did enjoy it, but breaking legs and having to go to fucking doctors got annoying real quick when you didn't have doctor's bags. Really annoying. But this is just going to be a standard guide on how to get through this pretty quick DLC as fast as you physically can, for those people that aren't interested in, finding the things. They just want to get through it, they just want to experience it, and that's what this is going to be. And because the DLC itself is only about an hour long, maybe an hour and 10 minutes or something, it gives me an opportunity to talk, because these videos are going to be longer. They're going to be about 20 minutes each, and the motivation behind this is I'm back at university, so I do have access to a ridiculously fast upload limit when I'm there, and I will be using that to put up as much stuff that's not that important as quickly as possible. Because this Friday, effectively a week and a bit, Rage will be coming out. I am doing a guide for it. Super excited to play it. Obviously, because I'm back at university, it's pretty hectic this year. It started off real rough. Lots of projects, lots of assignments, lots of, pretty hefty stuff. So I'm not going to have the same kind of time to focus on my YouTube channel, but that does not mean that there's not going to be videos going up. So if you're new to the channel and you're looking forward to, getting more content and becoming part of this empire that I'm building, fear not, there will be stuff coming up. I will continue to post as the highest quality content as I can. And a little tip here, if you played the Old World Blues, you will have got this gun that I've got here. I think it's something like the Sonic Emitter microwave gun. The gun itself is a piece of shit. It's absolutely atrocious. The stats are weak as fuck. It's unique, I believe, but it's nothing special. The bonus of it is it has a passive ability where it causes an EMP to anything that's robot. So if you fire it at the robots, you will stun their ass and they can't do a thing. So just whore it on anything that's metallic. It will work wonders. If you don't have it, just use whatever you've got. This is, this is Fallout. We're all going to have different kits. We're all going to have different setups, different perks. But we all get through it because it's one of those games that lets you do that. And I'm going to be using a lot of the equipment that just was kind of on my file when I came here. I have a bunch of unique stuff I've used before, but I don't pull it out as much on this. I just stick to the anti-material rifle, the brush gun, and I think that's really it. I don't go too, too ridiculous, too over the top. But this is the first area, and this is the first introduction to the roads towards the Divide. And the people you're going to be fighting are these ghoul-inspired, like fucking flaky skin dudes that are practically just soldiers, just the normal human enemies that you've taken on. They all have guns, so be very careful. They can be very violent when they want to. But if you're decent enough at your stats or whatever weapon you're using, I mean, I've got some of the best equipment. I've got, I'm nearly level 50. I'm pretty badass when it comes to, the standard dudes, and my guys spec towards headshots, spec towards VATs, and spec towards rifles and guns, because that's the type of stuff I enjoy using on this game. And a lot of my stats are at 100, so if you're wondering why some of the stuff is happening, it's because, this is not a new save or anything like that. My guy, for all intents and purposes, is a badass, and that's one of the cool things about Fallout, so. But the first part of this DLC, we're going to be moving through these ruins, and we're going to be trying to find a laser designator, which we're going to use to set off the nuclear warheads. And what's going to happen is, every time you remove a warhead that's in the path of the waypoint on your marker, it's going to take you to the next section of the level. And for what it's worth, a lot of this is very linear. There's only one section where I go off the beaten path, because I was curious of what was down there, and I didn't go the last time. So that's the only real side question I'm going to be doing. For the rest of it, I'll just be going to the end, and I'm going to be talking my way out of fighting with Uylsees at the end. So if you're watching this for, tips and tricks on how to kill him, A, this guy's not going to be for that, and B, you shouldn't really need it, because I've killed him, and I just shot him in the face like 5 times, and he fell over, and all his legs fell off, so he's not exactly the toughest guy, but he does have a hell of a lot of good loot on him if you want to rob his corpse. But a couple of the new elements you're going to find in this, that right now, the reason why my screen is so bright is because the enemies will have flare guns. And the flare gun itself, if you have explosive, statistics, is probably super cool, but my guy's fucking useless with explosives, so there's no point in me even trying it. And they blind you a lot. It doesn't do too much damage, but you can't see, and it just generally revolves in the screen going all messed up, so just be aware of that. Also, the weapon of choice, the unique weapon in this level, there is an achievement tied to upgrading it to the fullest, is a rocket launcher called Red Glare, and obviously it's from the song Rocket's Red Glare, from the anthem. And the easiest way to upgrade it if you have a lot of money, I mean, I'm running around right now with about 25,000 caps, and the reason for that is because I've put like 70 hours into this file, so my guy's pretty kitted up. But if you do have the currency to do the upgrades, you can do them off the very first station that Edie can open up, and you can get your achievement. But my character really sucks at everything explosive, so I'm not going to be using the rocket launcher. If you're good with rockets, you're going to have a lot of fun in this DLC, because there is so much ammo for them. It is absolutely unreal. It is absolutely ridiculous, because everything is just poison explosives. But this is an example of what you can do to the warheads. All you do is you shoot them with this designator. It doesn't have conventional ammunition. They'll start to glow and then they'll blow up. You want to be careful though. If you're anywhere near to them, they will do a lot of damage to you. I think I end up crippling myself a few times, and yeah, it's kind of funny. There you go. ED's unconscious because of the guys and what have you. I'm going to be running through as many encounters as I can, because I wanted to get this guide done as quickly as possible. I don't advise it for yourself, because you can take a lot of unnecessary damage. For instance, there's a new enemy that's introduced on the DLC called Tunnelers, and all they are is these little black dudes that come out of the ground, and you'll generally go to dark areas and places that kind of look like catacombs or underground storage areas. They will generally indicate that there's going to be a couple of tunnelers popping up, and these things are fierce, man. Your very first introduction to them, a Deathclaw walks into a pack of them and they rip it to shreds. So that's kind of showing you how strong these things are. And the reason why they suck is they can be difficult to get criticals on in VATS. You can't generally take their head all that often, although I do focus until I do it. And they hit you really hard, so not only do they do a lot of damage, but they've also got knockback, so they can knock your character over. And everybody knows if you get knocked over and fall out, it's a fucking pain in the ass, because your character does these lovely ragdolls and they continue to beat you up, and you can't go to your Pip-Boy and heal, so you're kind of stuck in the animation of getting your ass handed to you. But a really effective weapon against them is one of the new weapons on this DLC called the Nail Gun. And if you find a lot of ammo for the nail gun, which is littered around, in lockers and things, but I don't find much because I don't go exploring. And it's super good, it's super effective against them, so I would definitely recommend it. What I do find funny when you've not played Fallout for a while, and especially if you've been playing any other first-person shooters, just how not this game is when it comes to being first-person shooter. This is not a fucking SPS, although it looks like one, it has guns, it's from that perspective. This is closer to Dungeons and Dragons than it is Call of Duty, because you can have your gun on a dude, you can fire and still miss, because it's literally dice rolls. You can see the dice rolling as you fire, and as frustrating as it is, it does make it unique, especially with the VATS. I do love me some VATS, but it can be really frustrating sometimes when you're aiming spot on them and firing and you're just getting nothing, and then you remember you're playing Fallout and you kind of let it go. But the performance as well, I don't know if my cache or my cache is full. I don't know if it's because my hard drive is really full at the moment, so my 360's performance is struggling. I'm not too sure what it is. It's because I might have an old one, because I do have the very first Xbox they released, the giant one with a fucking super loud fan. But this game chugs for me, and you'll notice a lot of screen tearing, you'll notice a lot of frame rate dropping, you'll just notice a real lack of performance. It just really chugs at times, and it could just be down to Fallout being Fallout, but you super notice it when you go from playing Gears, when you go from playing Resistance 3, and all these games that look so damn good and play so damn well, it just feels rough. And this DLC crashed a lot for me, so save as frequently as you can, because there's nothing worse than losing progress because the game fucking crashes. And this game is like a really bad rally driver for crashing. It does it all the time, and it's extremely frustrating. But There's going to be another little bit of exposition here from EDE. He's going to just tell you a little bit more about his sub-story. I'll skip all that nonsense. That right there is a Deathclaw, and I make the mistake of thinking I can skip this, but he turns around and decides to have me for dinner. So if you do what I do and you rush this section and you don't get past the scripted area, you will have to kill him. But luckily enough, if you put a 50 cal rifle in his mouth, he ain't going to be smiling for much longer. So I leveled up off of taking that dude down, so I'm just going to throw some points into whatever, and completely ignore what I put this point on, because I'm not even really caring at this juncture, should I say, because this is not the file that I will be continuing on for my future plays of Fallout. But that's a tunneler right there, that little black dude with the gold, with the like silver platinum like highlights on him. He's kind of like he's wearing jewellery, but he's not. He's just, a spiky dinosaur little creeper dude. And they spawn out of those little holes in the floor, and there's generally about 3 to 6 of them. And these things will knock you about, but I don't try and kill them because they take a beating and they do a lot of damage. So I just run for this section because there's nothing really in this room. So I just think, fuck it, and I just, shop's closed, get myself out of dodge, and I just keep running up here. Look, ED's just been beaten to death. That just goes to show how powerful they are. And if you get here, you can go straight onto the highway and get a little bit more exposition and a shit ton of experience. So look at that. Job well done. But this is pretty much what this is all about. You move through the areas, you get more storyline from EDE, and that's kind of it. It's got a couple of different places to look, a couple of different areas. But for the most, it's simple, and I found it a lot more fun than the last one. There's one thing I don't like about it. This next section coming up, by the way, is this bridge is generally filled with Deathclaws. So be very careful, because this game has, this DLC especially, really likes the Deathclaws for some reason. No idea why. They just seem to be everywhere, so just be aware of them. They don't seem to be nowhere near as lethal as they were in Fallout 3. In Fallout 3, if you had a Deathclaw anywhere near you and you didn't have a dart gun or a grenade to cripple its legs, you were pretty much dead. On this game, it seems to be a lot less, and right now is a good example of me aiming at this dude, pretty much getting it spot on, and still missing, because, hey, it's Fallout, it's not Battlefield, but I'll live. So just keep doing your thing. But yeah, one of the things that I don't like about this DLC is they've included cloaking devices on some of the enemies, on some of these marked men. And it's never normally a problem, but on this DLC I seem to be taking a pounding from the ones that were cloaked. And you can't go into VATS and get rid of them because it just gives you 0% hit percentage and you can't fire. So shooting manually, as you've just seen, is not one of the best strategies on this game, because effectively it's not really a first-person shooter, it's just an RPG with first-person shooter trappings. And they kicked my ass, but luckily enough you can run past the section where they do turn up, and I do have a nice route through that part of the level, so... But for all intents and purposes, the people watching this probably aren't watching it for the use of a guide, because there's nothing in these DLCs that's that challenging unless you make it challenging for yourself. The majority of it is just, have fun exploring this crazy future. And it is crazy, which is why it's so appealing, but I'm going to use the next opportunity in these videos to talk about some random stuff, because the commentaries that I've been putting up recently, one of them is the Insane Guide for Red Faction, and I do get to talk about shit in that one, but a lot of it is going to be strategy as we come towards the end, because we are closing in on the end of that guide. The other stuff is the Battlefield, which is all Battlefield talk, and then there's going to be this, so I might as well use this to talk about some of the shit, some of the YouTube stuff especially, because I don't get really much chance to talk YouTube, and I don't know right now if my subscribers enjoy it or if they don't like it, so it's probably a good opportunity to test that waters. But I've been getting a hell of a lot of activity on my channel, and anybody who's been with me a while will have noticed, thanks to the Queen video, the Gears of War 3 Insane Difficulty Final Boss. And that boss is very challenging, and that's why the videos are getting hit so hard. And the other reason is there's no other guides at this moment except for, I think, one now, as of a few days back, where there's another video, or there's another alternative video on YouTube of how to beat her on Insane. And the funniest thing about this boss is, as hard as she is, if you get lucky, you can make it look very easy. And the only problem when you do something on a game and you make it look easy is people doubt that you've done it. And a lot of this comes from the fact that those people, they don't seem to be able to get it into their mindset that just because they can't do it doesn't mean it can't be done. And this can be a very, it's a humbling experience for some people, and everybody takes it differently. See, for me, if I see a guy do something I can't do, I generally go, wow, that guy's a beast. I want to be able to do that like that guy. And I will go out of my way to sit down with the game, and I will hardcore that game until I've done it, until I can stand toe-to-toe with whoever's done it before me and say, yeah, I did that. This is my opinion on it. And that's how I've generally always been as a gamer. But everybody's different, and other people have different reactions to it, and a massive reaction is for people just to be like, this is fucking bullshit, you're a liar, this is not on insane, this is not the hardest difficulty, you're just a dick. And that attitude is frustrating to me for the most, because I can't understand this concept of people putting stuff on YouTube that isn't real. You know, the whole fake video stuff, or saying something is something when it's not. And to me, because I'm in my 20s, me guys, I'm not some fucking 13-year-old girl who's sat there trying to impress all her mates at school by saying that they did something they didn't do. It's just not how I work. It's just not what I think is you know, the way to do things. And the whole point of the guides that I make is to help people. It's not to be like, yeah, this is my digital penis, I think I'm amazing, come watch me be better than everybody else and praise at my feet like some perverted Buddha. That is not what this is about. And it just seems, it pisses me off a lot, so much so that I've started blocking people who doubt the difficulty, because I'm getting so sick of throwing insults at people, because I try to be as professional as I can with my YouTube channel, because I treat it like a job that I love, and I treat the people on there like I would anybody in public. I'm as polite as I can be. If they sound cool, if they're intelligent, then I'll have a good conversation with them, and I might have a couple of friends for life, I don't know. This conversation will continue in the next part of the video, so thanks for watching guys, I hope it helped, and you take care now.